When I got blown up, I have a 2.5 week memory gap. I don't remember going to bed the night before the op. The op got called early, and on the way back, we got blown up. We'd altered our route back, which is tactically the best thing to do. I would make that call, same call, again and again. We went through a spot where they had put 23 IEDs across this hillside. I don't know how long those had been in there. They had probably been in there a while and were weathered in, which would make them especially hard to find. This was in the middle of the night, blacked out, rolling on nods with side-by vehicles. Sometimes, you know how in life you do everything right and something bad happens? It's life. And the best response to that is the stoic response, the stoic philosophy response. You can't control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond to it. And that is what I had to do. The cure, in my opinion, is the cure for post-traumatic stress, or PTS, is PTG, post-traumatic growth. For people that are in stressful, traumatic experiences or experiencing trauma continually, the cure for that is post-traumatic growth. Focus on what I can do and not what I can't do. And I think that is incredibly important for anyone in any kind of traumatic situation. And not just anybody in a traumatic situation, everybody in every facet of life. If they think about what they can have or do have instead of what they don't have or can't do, they will have a much better life. So this hunt, to me in my head, it isn't linked really to the trauma. It's a continuation of me trying to become a better person. Learning how to be a better hunter, to be a better steward of the responsibility of taking that life, to be the best possible person that I can be with regard to everything in life.
So when Andrew came out here, I asked him, how would you define success on this hunt? And he said that he wanted to learn. And harvesting a bull elk was not his primary goal. He wanted to learn about elk hunting. He wanted to learn about the natural history, about the geological history. He wants to learn about hunting so that he can improve himself and his own knowledge. Guiding a fellow veteran is always a good thing for me to do, especially somebody who's also combat wounded, because we have that shared experience. While serving in Afghanistan, I was hit by a mortar early on in my deployment and got some shrapnel and a traumatic brain injury from that. And then later that year, I was hit by multiple IEDs and a recoilless rifle anti-tank rocket, and received shrapnel and blast injuries from that as well, and spent a little bit longer in recovery that time. But once I returned from the deployment, which I had completed, the doctors sort of began realizing the severity of some of my injuries. I know what hunting means for me, and being able to be outside and work outside in this industry, means a great deal to me. With Andrew, he has physical limitations that I've never encountered before. So while he was trying to shoot, his hand fell off. That's something that I've never had to deal with before. I'm having to think about things with new dimensions that I've never considered before. And whenever I do something like that, it helps me to have some perspective on my own life.
Just so grateful to have this experience, to learn from somebody like James. He has been amazing, taking the time to patiently answer all of my questions. It's really cool to be with another combat wounded veteran even. There is a lot of the same mentalities and understandings that that we have about life and situations and looking at things. He's asked a couple times, like, hey, do you need help with this or that, or how should I approach this? How should I offer help? What's the most respectful way and all that? And it didn't take much to communicate with him what I needed or how I wanted to do it. It was a fairly mutual, there's a pretty good mutual understanding there.
Having that shared experience, there is so much that's unspoken about it, and that's relief. There may be something that comes up that you feel like you have to explain, and maybe you're not able to explain because they won't be able to understand, because words fall short of some of these experiences. But if it's a shared experience, then there's stuff that comes up that it's okay. Like, we know, we don't have to talk about it, we understand it, and we can move on and move forward. And it is a great relief to be able to have that.
The importance of veterans helping veterans goes back into that post-traumatic growth thing. One of the only ways that people can move on from survivor's guilt, which is really hard to deal with, is for somebody who has also experienced it to sit there with that person and say, I forgive you. Because it's really hard to forgive yourself. And a lot of us can't do it without first having somebody else do it. So, veterans helping veterans can lead to that and make the world a better place.